Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals, everybody that is in the building this week. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Val Kleinhands. Welcome to another solo episode of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhands, just in case you forgot the name. I've been on this kick lately, and you can tell me if you're in business, if this is a good idea or not. I've been trying to just literally get my name out there a little bit more, get a little bit more comfortable talking about who I am and what I'm doing. And as an introvert, that is not the easiest thing in the world to do. So I figured I better just start with subjects that are already close to me and mean something to me. And that is why on this podcast, there has been a general theme this week. The general theme being shout outs to the ladies. Girl power. Girl power. I wish I could show you the back of my shirt, but I can't because this chair is actually really hard to move in. But it's the Spice Girls. Okay. Spice World. Girl power. They are the originators, in my opinion, of this concept. And at least to me, because a very young 7-year-old Val Kleinhands was very overwhelmed, and still at this age, at 35, still extremely overwhelmed with how much of a movement this really was. And I miss it. I miss this era. I want to go back to this era, and I'm hoping to channel some of that now that March is here. Welcome to Women's History Month. International Women's Day is on the 8th. This is going to be just, there's been a general theme this week is celebrating girl power, women in music, women in the music industry, women in male-dominated fields, women doing the thing. Okay? Sisters doing it for themselves. That's what this particular episode is going to cap off / introduce / welcome as a nice little cherry on top of what we've already been doing so far this week. If we scroll back, rewind to 1997, that is, yes, my awareness of the concept of girl power. And at that age, it was so important to have older women who could have, they weren't, how do I want to say this? They weren't unattainable. The Spice Girls were not unattainable. They looked like they could be your friends in real life. And it was a diverse group. And no one was trying to be anybody else. And they all stayed friends and made sure their friendship was a top priority. No one was getting in between that. No man was getting in the way of that. And we loved it. No family, no partners, no one. Like, their biggest hit is making a partner aware that the friends are going to come first when it comes to relationships that they prioritize in life. As a 7-year-old, it was really impactful to see, particularly as a 7-year-old girl, someone who identifies as female anyway. It was really, really, really powerful to see a group of girls who got along, were diverse in nature, had a really solid friendship, celebrated that friendship, honored that friendship, protected that friendship, to the point where they're in their 50s and they're still genuinely friends today. Instagram is your first clue in case you missed that. But it was, and it made me believe that, oh, this is really cool. There could be other girls out there like me feeling like some aspects of society are set against us. Still, that's the case even in 2025. Do not get it twisted. We do face some things very much still. In a few ways, you could argue that we've reverted. But I digress. Despite all that, we have examples like the Spice Girls at a very young age that tell us we can overcome these things, and we can do it if we stick together as women. Now, that's where this can very easily fall apart. If we don't stick together as women, and I'm very much a believer in this, then everything goes to hell. This is where we start to lose our rights, lose the respect that we've earned. That's where I think we got to flip the script a little bit at this point in time. And that's where I think we can go back to our playbook, right? And watch Spice World. I'm serious. I'm not joking. Watch Spice World. Watch Spice World. Take some notes. And then we band together and we move on and we make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, because it's not easy. Even in 2025, I don't believe that it is really easy to be a female, particularly if you are a female in a male dominated industry when it comes to what you do for a living. That's tough. I dealt with that. I know what that's like. It sucks. It's not fun. And you better believe that I banded really closely with the other two, or maybe top, like three at most, other female radio hosts that were, in the industry at the time I was. You better believe we were like this. So shout out to Danica, shout out to Daisy, shout out to Sam Adams, shout out to all Danny, shout out to all of the ladies that I ended up forming very serious bonds with. Jessica, Danielle, just shout out to you. And I think we all knew that this was like, it was almost an unspoken thing. We knew that if we didn't look out for each other, we knew that if we didn't check in on each other and take care of our emotional needs, that's really where I think the biggest, that's where we needed the most help, is how I'm going to put it. Because all of us at one time or another felt beat down, not physically, thank God, but emotionally beaten by how hard it can be to earn respect, to earn recognition, to earn validation, to earn affirmation. It can be very hard to earn those things when you're working with all men, particularly when you're working with men who do not see you as their equals. They may not say that verbatim, but their actions are showing it. It's really, really hard. I used to sit in meetings where men would say almost verbatim, "We have two women, we don't need more." Crap like that. Misogynistic, chauvinistic bullshit like that. They would say that. And we had to sit there and pretend like we were okay with it because we wanted to keep our jobs. And then we would go close the door, or go to a bathroom and close the door, and then cry it out with each other. That happened a couple times. More times than it should have. And I'm saying this to highlight the importance of the issue in general. I really, truly believe in women banding together, sticking together, staying together. I called this episode Protect Lzzy Hale at All Costs, because she is another modern day example of women sticking together, and how beautiful it is when that actually happens. What I've learned from Lzzy just by watching her do what she does. I mean, I have interviewed for her before. It was a privilege. It was an honor. I would absolutely do it again. I watched how she moves when she does business, when she's backstage. And she and the entire, not just her, but the entire Hailstorm camp run their shit very, very, very intentionally. And what I mean is, they're very concerned with making sure it is a positive, safe space where they are. They're very concerned about everything around them being completely copacetic, being positive. You know, there is no slighting someone, berating someone. I didn't see that. And I have plenty of friends in the industry that can back me up on that they would say the same things about Hailstorm and the entire Hailstorm organization, and particularly Lzzy. Lzzy understands, and you can hear this in her interviews, and I'm citing her as an example here. Lzzy understands the responsibility that she has as a female presenting figure in what is still a male dominated subgenre of music. And she understands that other women are looking to her because she, at one point or another, broke the mold. She did it just like Joan Jett did, just like Pat Benatar did, just like Grace Slick did, just like Janis Joplin did. I mean, it just seems like women have to keep, like we have to be 10 times better, 20 times better, thousands of times better than any man to get any type of recognition for being good at whatever it is they choose to do in life, whatever their expertise is, whatever their industry is. And we've got to keep doing it because we got to remind people and we got to let them know. And when I say people, I'm going to say misogynistic men specifically. We have to remind those clowns that there's value in what we do. Lzzy is a fabulous example of that. And she's a more current example of that in rock and metal today. And I think that's why a lot of people cite her. And I can see Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box being that next person. Christina Scabia has been that person as well. Alyssa from Arch Enemy, she's been that person as well. Before her, Angela Gasso, same band. All of these women in music did not give up. Did not give up. And I'm really, really thrilled to see that there are still examples of women being authentically themselves on a mainstream media platform. And I think you only get there by taking a page from Hailstorm's playbook and Lizzy's playbook, really. Lzzy tends to set aside time to make sure she talks with women, specifically in the rock and metal world. She takes time with her female fans, and the whole Hailstorm camp, they follow right behind her. They kind of follow suit. She has set an example by her actions. This isn't just trash coming out of her mouth that doesn't mean anything. It means something. Her actions mean something. So she's a fabulous example. If you haven't looked into her or Hailstorm enough yet, great example. And I'm glad to see that it's still happening today. You know, when I was younger, again, happy to see the Spice Girls were doing it. They were the ones that first put the idea in my head that it was possible. They were the ones that put the idea in my head that women coming together, banding together, and taking care of each other was possible. And I do believe that the world is a much better place when that happens, particularly when we have diversity in the workplace. I like to feel as though that is a much safer and more comfortable place to be. I mean, specifically, Forbes had a great article come out a couple of years ago, the 3 benefits of diversity in the workplace. And when I say diversity in the workplace, I mean that very literally. I mean people of all identifications, whatever gender or non-gender, whatever race, whatever ethnicity, whatever religion. Diversity, not just, one set, select, carbon copy paste situation of only older white men running things, or it's not just them that's involved in decision making. There are other people involved in the decision making. It's important. Forbes says so in this article, again, called 3 Benefits of Diversity in the Workplace. This came out December 17th, 2021, written by Ashley Stahl. It's a really, really cool article. One thing that it does is it boosts creativity and innovation. It's no secret that companies are always looking for the next big thing. They're looking for ideas. They're looking to get a pulse on what's popular and what sells or what garners attention. in different cultures and in different age groups and different races, different ethnicities, different genders, different non-genders, like however you want to slice it. Companies want to have their pulse on what's happening so that they can make some money. Let's be real. They want to have an understanding of what's getting the attention and where are the hearts and minds of people that they want to sell to. We're going to put it that bluntly. And they want to them, to me, in my opinion, it's only to their benefit to have their finger on the pulse of what's happening with all of that. Diversity has shown to boost creativity as a whole. Different ideas come in, different angles of perspective come in. You can even argue that we're almost a lot more thoughtful and intentional in how we present something when you involve someone that isn't like you, so to speak. A different way of thinking. Oh, that could have offended someone and I didn't know. Well, if that's not what I'm trying to do, and if I care enough about that, I'm going to be glad that I had that person on my team telling me this ain't it. Let's go a different direction. So back to the Forbes article. Ashley shares that in her experience, the dynamite idea usually comes from thinking outside the box. And when people come from different backgrounds, variety of life experiences, they see the world in unique ways, multiple perspectives are brought to the table, and you can sort of farm those perspectives, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing for her now, for those golden ideas. It also creates greater opportunities for professional growth. Ashley explains that she read a Gallup report in how millennials want to work and live. 87% of participants said career and professional growth opportunities were important to them. So don't get it twisted. We want to partake. We want to contribute. People have a desire to be part of something and to be seen and to be heard. And the company that embraces those ideas and practices hearing out different perspectives will just create an inclusive culture that will foster the loyalty that they say they don't have anymore. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into that loyalty than just making somebody feel good. But that's a conversation, I think, for a different episode. Interestingly enough, in this same Gallup report, Ashley explains roughly 64% of candidates researched a company online before applying for an opening. And an integral part of this research is what makes the company an attractive place to work, aka what's the culture, what's the vibe. Are we looking at a bunch of white dudes in a conference room on that website? Because if we are, we're not going to feel like we have a seat at that table. It just is what it is. Period. And 1 in 3 people will not apply for a position if they feel like there is a lack of diversity. Let's talk about lack of diversity for a moment. I've been binging Love is Blind this season, especially because it's Minneapolis. And I'm like, oh, is there going to be anybody that I've crossed paths with on this season? The answer to that is no. I don't know anybody that's on season 8 currently, but it's entertaining to watch. And the biggest piece of criticism toward this particular season so far has been the lack of diversity in the Minnesota version of the show. And I feel a little bit like, I feel I have mixed emotions on that piece of criticism. One, because you can't fake something either. Like, it is what it is. Minnesota is a very white state. However, where I think the criticism is warranted is the fact that, of course, Minneapolis is not exclusively white. There is an Asian community, a Hmong community. There is a Black community here. Like, there is a Latino community. Like, it's not just white dudes with brown hair, which seemed to be who got the most airtime this past season. And who knows? I don't know if that was an intentional production choice to only feature people who look a certain way, because let's be real, it's been done on reality TV before, where they'll select the hottest looking people and have them get the airtime because duh, ratings, duh, more eyeballs, literally, on what they're doing. So I have to wonder if there's a chance that it was an intentional choice. I also caution going too far with that because, like I said, Minnesota is a very white state. But I do think this season is missing something, and it's not capturing the full spectrum of what's truly happening in Minneapolis. That's probably the better way to put it. It's only telling one part of the story. It's not telling the entire story. It is missing these other communities. And again, I don't know if that's just because nobody from those communities signed up, or if there was a production choice there. We'll never know. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see that come out in a real world example, but that's one. That's one. And yeah, we are getting to a point as consumers where we are stopping to say, hey, wait a second. I don't know about this lack of diversity here. And I think it's fair to, at the very least, question those types of things. To question whether or not we are recognizing and validating the whole big picture. We do have neighbors that are not like us. We don't, some areas are more predominantly white than others, of course, but, it's certainly not the whole story of the U.S. We are a diverse country. We've been a diverse country. And sometimes it breaks my heart to see people flat out ignore that. It hurts me even more when I see rights taken away, political action taken because it's rooted in racism. I don't know what else to call it. It does. And it's not fair and it's not right. Why is it that everybody else can come to this country as an immigrant, but they can't? Oh, they were a different kind of immigrant. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? At the end of the day, everybody is doing the same thing. They're trying to better their life and earn a living and take care of their own families. Whatever skin color you are, however it is that you identify, that's all anybody's trying to do when they enter this country. And I wish that we saw it as simply as that. But we don't. Back to how diversity is relevant in the workplace. Let's go back to this article, though, because this is very, very interesting to me. We are, Gallup, Ashley is reflecting Gallup's report in that we are questioning these things as, millennials and the younger workforce is starting to question these things. And this is something that we do care about and we do want conversation about. The third item in the 3 benefits of diversity in the workplace that Ashley lists here in this Forbes article is, let me just scroll for a moment, better decision making. Research has also showed that diverse teams are better at making decisions 87% of the time over non-diverse teams, because diverse teams offer broader perspectives and bring more information to the table, aka we have more to choose from. More to choose from means more to agree on. I like that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think when things become an echo chamber, we can sort of start to feel a little bit defeated if we're that one person in the group, or maybe 2 people in the group that actually have a dissenting opinion but don't feel like we can voice it because the rest of the environment says one thing. It's a very lonely place to be. It's not fun. Not fun at all. But when we get a little more diverse, there's a greater chance that everybody feels like they're included. And this is the thing. While this article is great, and while this article is pointing to a younger workforce calling these things out and wanting these things in their employer, I think it starts with just getting comfortable with the fact that we are a diverse nation to begin with. And that we still have miles to go on rectifying. I don't know what the answer is other than exposure therapy. Just purely getting used to people of other genders, people of other cultures, just being around them a little bit more can perhaps help us get used to the reality, which is that we are a diverse nation. You know, be around as it serves this particular topic for this particular episode, be around men, be around more women and understand that them excelling does not mean your success is dimmed in any way. Their acceleration, their congratulations, their achievement does not mean there are no achievements for you to earn. You can still do what you do. Just be you. Be you, work hard, earn it. So is she. Why can't everybody do that? But I really believe for some men, that's just harder to comprehend than others. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. So I leave you with those few things to think about. Think about getting comfortable with someone who not like you. Think about getting comfortable with someone not like you. Think about interacting with them. Say hello. Get to know them. Travel. Get exposed to being somewhere that you're not familiar with, to being around a group of people that you're not familiar with. And I think that maybe can help this whole thing. At least that's my hope. I would love to see that change, but I don't know. There are a lot of times where I feel like we take 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back on this type of thing. So we'll see where it goes, but I will stand on business and I will say what I have to say. And that's what I have to say. I would encourage everybody to just get to know someone that maybe isn't like them, in the hopes that some exposure therapy, I'll call it, helps. And let's do what we do, and let's do it well, and let's not worry about what somebody else is doing, okay? Women, keep doing you. Do not worry about any other clown that has something to say about you working on your projects, excelling what you want to do. And men, take a breather and understand that her success doesn't mean that there is no success left for you. Of course there is. You just keep focused on yourself. That's what I got to say this week. Thanks for joining me for another solo episode. That's what's been on my mind. I am really, really happy that it is starting to break the weather. Yes. And that we have a little bit of spring happening. I took my new camera out over the weekend and I had a great time, shot some outfits. So if you're on the gram, give it a like. And we've got more content on the way. You stay right here. Bye.